Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's blog post. Welcome to July. 4th of July holiday has passed us. We're moving forward into the summer with all sorts of different activities and things going on. And hopefully you've planned your vacations and those things are scheduled and you're enjoying yourselves and the opportunities that summer brings us. The thing I wanted to share with you this week is a conversation that I've had with my own clients. It's about making commitments to an extra goal, an extra target, an extra series of events, an extra focus of generating opportunities outside the normal scope of what your prospecting would be. And I've often called it Wednesdays for an hour. And the reason I call it that is been my experience that most loan officers will tell you the least busy day of their lives tends to be Wednesday. So I've always thought that looking at that and understanding that situation, and then with preparing a target and saying to ourselves, what if we could do something in an hour once a week where we could generate an extra 25 or 50 or $100,000 worth of income so that we could use that money for any number of things, paying off some bills, getting a new car, buying a new house, preparing for college education, putting money away for retirement, long-term savings, whatever the case may be, even if it's just for the fun of making the money and, letting it sit there and as a measure of what you can do, because I think it's important that we have these little side dedicated activity things that we can really hyper focus on. Again, even if it's just for 1 hour a week to go ahead and create a target and a goal. And it's really not all that complicated to do. For all of us, it really comes down to about three things is first of all, you have to identify the time. In this case, I bring up Wednesdays, for an hour. And let's say for you, it's between 1 and 2 or in the afternoon, or maybe 7 and 8 at night, or whatever the case may be, committing to a time where you're going to put everything to the side and go ahead and focus on this one thing. The next piece would be identifying the strategy. What am I going to do in that hour? What is my focus? What's my vision? What's the plan of how I'm going to use that? And there's plenty to choose from. We'll talk about a couple of those things before we're done. And then last but not least, it's just as simple as committing to setting it into your schedule, doing the work and working that plan until you have made the adjustments and you've received the result. And it's not any harder than that. And for most of my clients, it's just a matter of setting it up as a personal challenge and me holding them accountable to them actually doing that work. And for many of you, we can do this together, you and I, or you can have a coworker and use people at work. If you're a manager, you can set your people into teams or, groups of accountability partners and create a 3-month or a 6-month, competition and create teams so that they're driven to do this and they can hold themselves accountable to doing it. But the reality of it is it's not any harder than that. And my favorite thing to look at right now is again, we're looking at this marketplace, the conversations we've had. Last year was about a year. We spoke to dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of people in the last year or so, especially going through coronavirus and add that to a low rate environment. And there was a lot to choose from. There were lots of possibilities. And not every one of those conversations, not every one of those people, not every one of those transactions is still working for those people as good now as it could be. And for some of those people, maybe they didn't go through with the transaction for any number of reasons. But let's start out and focus of the things that we can kind of look at and say, hey, what would the conversations be? What were the videos that we could create to support what we're trying to do? What message could we share? And let's think about this. People that you did loans for last year, especially those with MI or PMI, are likely to benefit right now from refinancing out of those loans into a conforming loan without MI or without PMI, because when you're looking at annualized appreciation rates over 13% nationally and higher than that in many areas, it wouldn't be hard for those loans that you did with no or minimal down payments to now be in a spot where they could be refinanced into a loan without any form of mortgage insurance, especially those who contain permanent mortgage insurance. It would be nice to get them out of that and put them into a spot where they don't have that commitment. Next, we're dealing with people who may have wanted to refinance or may have wanted to sell and buy, and there wasn't enough equity in their house to make it viable. There wasn't enough available to them, or in their minds, maybe the savings weren't significant enough, or maybe the repayment to break even point wasn't quick enough. Well, maybe their circumstances have changed in the last year, and certainly worth having that conversation. It becomes important to realize that some of the people made choices last year or didn't choose to do things last year based upon information that's no longer in play right now, as largely coronavirus is not having the day-to-day impact as it once did. Now, the other thing that we have to remember is, there are people out there who didn't pull the trigger on moving simply because they weren't prepared. They weren't ready. They didn't know what their future looked like. They didn't know what their work environment was going to be. They didn't know a lot of things because of coronavirus. A lot of that is largely settled. So there may be people who put off refinancing or selling and moving, or any number of those things that they could have done where you would have been helpful to them. Even if something as simple as debt consolidation, they may not have thought that their circumstances was such that it made sense for them to do that. It may be different now. Maybe they are working from home permanently and need that home office. Maybe, they did run into more debt than they thought. Maybe some of these people, toiled on the back and forth of potentially forbearance or accumulated debt because of their work schedule. They made all their payments and whatever, but they accumulated some debt because they couldn't work as many hours. There's plenty of things that are reasons that may not have been reasons or a significant enough reason last year that are reasons this year that you need to pay attention to. So set yourself a financial target, make it fun. What money would make it interesting for you? At what point could I say I will trade you 1 hour a day on Wednesday for $25,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 or whatever number you want to put on it? And let's go do the work. Let's look at the strategies. Let's do the tasks. Let's set this aside and let's make it happen. If you have any challenges or questions or comments, just reach out to me, Mike, imtcoaching.com, and let's work through it together. Take care. We'll talk to you again real soon.